The Guns of Navarone, 1961, stands as one of the greatest war epics ever made, with its gripping story, breathtaking action, and an all-star cast that defined a generation of cinema. Gregory Peck, David Niven, Anthony Quinn, and their fellow stars brought unforgettable intensity to this legendary film about courage and survival against impossible odds. But more than 6 decades later, tragedy has touched much of the cast. Many of the talented actors who made this classic so iconic have sadly passed away, leaving behind powerful legacies and unforgettable performances. In this video, we honor the stars of the Guns of Navarone we've lost and remember their impact on film history. Gregory Peck was born on April 5, 1916, in San Diego, California, and he was 45 years old when he took on the role of Captain Keith Mallory in the Guns of Navarone in 1961. On screen, Mallory was the epitome of stoic heroism, calm, precise, and morally resolute, guiding his team through life-threatening missions with a mixture of intellect, courage, and understated leadership that left audiences enthralled. Peck's childhood was shaped by the early death of his father, who abandoned the family, leaving him to be raised by his mother in relative financial hardship in a strict, morally driven household. These formative years instilled in him a sense of discipline, resilience, and an enduring moral compass that would later define both his on-screen characters and personal life. His early career, though eventually illustrious, was not without turbulence. He was initially rejected by Hollywood for lacking conventional charisma, and rumors circulated about his affairs and clashes with studio executives, particularly when he pushed for roles that aligned with his political beliefs, including outspoken opposition to McCarthyism. Peck endured profound personal tragedy with the death of his eldest son, Jonathan, in 1975, an event that plunged him into grief and reflection, leading him to channel energy into humanitarian work, civil rights advocacy, and careful selection of film roles that conveyed ethical and emotional weight. Peck's resilience allowed him to maintain a career spanning more than 6 decades, culminating in iconic performances that earned him an Academy Award and cemented his reputation as a moral and artistic touchstone of Hollywood's golden age. He passed away peacefully on June 12, 2003, at the age of 87 from bronchopneumonia, leaving an estate valued at approximately $40 million, encompassing real estate, royalties, and personal assets. Yet his true legacy lies in his timeless influence on American cinema, his political courage, and the emotional depth he brought to every performance, quietly shaping cultural consciousness for generations. David Niven was born on March 1, 1910, in London, England, and was 51 years old when he played Corporal John Anthony Miller in the Guns of Navarone. Miller's character exuded understated sophistication, witty, cunning, and resourceful, balancing humor with bravery in ways that enriched the film's tension and camaraderie. Niven's early life was complicated. He was raised in a military family, experienced financial instability, and suffered the loss of his father at a young age, which instilled in him both resilience and a charming veneer to mask vulnerability. His life outside the screen included both glory and scandal. He served with distinction as a lieutenant colonel during World War II, but faced public scrutiny over his private life, including the untimely death of his first wife, which cast long shadows of guilt and grief over his personal and professional choices. In Hollywood, Niven navigated the pressures of stardom with a combination of wit and calculated discretion, though he occasionally clashed with directors and co-stars, leading to whispered rumors about his difficult temperament and indulgent lifestyle. After the war and personal tragedies, he reinvented himself as both actor and author, publishing memoirs and essays that displayed his trademark humor and reflective depth, even as he battled the onset of ALS in later years. Niven died on July 29, 1983, at age 73, leaving an estate valued at $100 million, derived from films, writings, and real estate. His cultural and financial legacy endured, a blend of charisma, sophistication, and the aura of a gentleman who lived fully amidst both acclaim and sorrow. Anthony Quinn was born on April 21, 1915, in Chihuahua, Mexico, and was 46 when he portrayed Colonel Andrea Stavros in the Guns of Navarone. Stavros was a character of fierce loyalty and turbulent passion, a Greek resistance fighter haunted by his past, whose moral intensity and emotional depth made him unforgettable on screen. Quinn's own life mirrored such drama. He grew up in extreme poverty, endured dyslexia, and was often marginalized in Hollywood because of his Mexican heritage and ethnic appearance, forcing him to fight persistently for substantive roles. Personal tragedies, including multiple divorces, legal battles over his sprawling estate, and the strain of fathering 13 children with various partners, marked his life with both notoriety and fascination. Quinn also suffered significant health issues in later life, including throat cancer and respiratory complications, which affected his work in public appearances. Despite these struggles, he became one of the most versatile actors of his generation, winning 2 Academy Awards and appearing in over 150 films, often bringing raw authenticity to roles requiring both physical presence and psychological complexity. He passed away on June 3, 2001, at the age of 86 from respiratory failure compounded by pneumonia and throat cancer, leaving behind a net worth of approximately $20 million, including real estate, royalties, and artistic holdings. Beyond these tangible assets, his indelible mark on cinema, the barriers he broke for actors of diverse backgrounds, and the emotional intensity of his performances continue to inspire actors and audiences alike, revealing a life that was as tumultuous and compelling as the characters he embodied. Stanley Baker was born on February 28, 1928, in Ferndale, Glamorgan, Wales, and at 33 years old, he portrayed the formidable CPO Butcher Brown in The Guns of Navarone, 1961, a role that cemented his reputation as a tough, uncompromising commando capable of both strategic thinking and brutal action. On screen, Baker exuded a raw, working-class intensity that lent authenticity to his military roles and made him a standout figure in British cinema of the era, with his sharp jawline and gravelly voice embodying the archetype of the fearless, stoic soldier. Raised in a modest Welsh mining family, Baker endured a childhood marked by economic hardship, the early death of a sibling, and a community that valued toughness over sensitivity, compelling him to conceal vulnerability behind a facade of stoicism and bravado. These early experiences forged a resilience that propelled him into acting, but his path was riddled with personal and professional challenges, repeated typecasting in violent or authoritarian roles, the constant pressure to maintain his public image, and a series of failed business ventures in film production that strained his finances. Heavy smoking and a grueling work schedule undermined his health, and Baker's private life was complicated, including tumultuous relationships and marital tensions that remained largely out of public view. Despite these trials, he produced the celebrated war film Zulu, 1964, leaving an enduring mark on cinema. Tragically, Baker succumbed to lung cancer on June 28, 1976, at the age of 48, just before being considered for knighthood. His estate, estimated under $1 million, reflected both the limits of his financial ventures and the volatile nature of the industry, but his legacy as a gritty, authentic performer continues to inspire actors and audiences, preserving the memory of a man who embodied courage, intensity, and unflinching realism. Anthony Quayle was born on September 7, 1913, in Southport, Lancashire, England, and was 48 when he assumed the role of Major Roy Franklin in The Guns of Navarone, portraying a principled, brave officer whose battlefield injuries challenged both his personal ethics and the dynamics within his team. Quayle's commanding screen presence and ability to convey nuanced leadership were informed by his own service in World War II as part of the Special Operations Executive, lending his character authenticity and gravitas. Coming from a modest English family, Quayle's upbringing was shaped by the societal constraints of interwar Britain, limited financial resources, and the expectations placed on him as the eldest son, which instilled discipline but also a lifelong sensitivity to authority and social injustice. Professionally, Quayle navigated the demanding world of theater and film, facing repeated casting rejections, the volatility of wartime entertainment production, and occasional friction with directors over artistic interpretation. His personal life involved a complex marriage and moments of estrangement from family members, compounded by the emotional weight of wartime memories that lingered in private. Following the war and his early theatrical struggles, Quayle rebuilt his career through disciplined artistry, eventually co-founding initiatives that shaped modern British theatre and earning a knighthood in 1985 for his contributions to the arts. He passed away on October 20, 1989, at the age of 76 from liver cancer. His net worth, around $5 million, encompassed decades of work across theatre, film, and television, but his true legacy lies in the profound influence he had on acting standards, mentoring, and cultural enrichment, leaving behind a blueprint of courage, integrity, and refined craft. James Darren, born James William Mercolini on June 8, 1936, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was 25 when he appeared as Spiros Papademos in The Guns of Navarone, portraying a passionate, determined Greek resistance fighter whose youthful zeal and patriotic fervor energized the mission and provided audiences with a relatable hero balancing courage and vulnerability. Darren's on-screen charisma allowed him to escape the confines of his teen idol persona, revealing depth and versatility that would define a long and varied career in acting, music, and directing. His childhood was marked by Italian-American immigrant struggles in Philadelphia, including economic hardship, the social marginalization of his ethnic background, and early experiences of ridicule that compelled him to hide insecurities behind charm and musical talent. Throughout his life, Darren faced the pressures of typecasting, the fleeting nature of pop stardom, and personal challenges including failed relationships and the difficulty of sustaining a dual career in music and film. Yet he continually reinvented himself, transitioning from teen idol to accomplished actor in television classics such as Gidget and Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, while also producing successful music hits like Goodbye Cruel World and directing for stage and screen. Darren's resilience in the face of early disappointments and industry volatility exemplifies a sustained pursuit of creative fulfillment. He passed away on September 2, 2024, at the age of 88 due to heart-related complications. His net worth, estimated at $10 million, reflected a lifetime of artistic endeavors spanning multiple media, and his enduring influence resonates through generations of performers inspired by his versatility, commitment, and ability to navigate Hollywood's often brutal realities while maintaining personal integrity and a dedication to artistic growth. Irene Papas was born on September 3, 1929, in Kiliamodi, Greece, and was 32 years old when she took on the role of Maria Papademos in The Guns of Navarone in 1961, portraying a resolute Greek resistance fighter whose courage, discipline, and moral clarity left an indelible impression on audiences. On screen, Papas exuded an aura of unshakable strength and resilience, with a commanding presence that could switch seamlessly from tender compassion to merciless pragmatism, as evidenced in scenes where she executed traitors without hesitation to safeguard her comrades. Her childhood in rural Greece was marked by hardship and political turbulence. She grew up in a modest peasant family, enduring economic scarcity and witnessing the turmoil of occupation and war. These early experiences instilled a fierce independence and a deep awareness of human suffering that she carried into her acting. Papas's professional journey was far from smooth. She faced periods of unemployment, being typecast repeatedly as the exotic or tragic foreign woman, and had to navigate the limited opportunities afforded to women in European cinema at the time. Despite international acclaim for performances in Zorba the Greek and Elektra, she earned modest pay and often sacrificed financial stability for artistic integrity. On a personal level, Papas endured long stretches of solitude while working abroad and confronting the complexities of fame, maintaining a private life that was intensely disciplined and largely insulated from Hollywood excess. She coped with setbacks through an unwavering commitment to her craft, taking on challenging roles that required emotional and physical rigor and mentoring younger actors. Papas lived with Alzheimer's disease in her later years and passed away on September 14, 2022, at 93, leaving behind an estate valued around $2 million. Her legacy encompasses not only her remarkable cinematic achievements but also her enduring embodiment of strength, perseverance, and uncompromising artistic vision, making her a lasting figure in both Greek and international film history. Gia Scala, born Josephine Grace Johanna Scolio on March 3, 1934, in Liverpool, England, was 27 years old when she portrayed Anna in The Guns of Navarone, a mute yet emotionally resonant Greek resistance fighter whose haunting presence provided the film with a potent blend of vulnerability and tension. On screen, Scala's expressive physicality and subtle facial cues conveyed a narrative depth beyond her character's limited dialogue, making Anna's inner conflict and tragic trajectory unforgettable. Scala's early life was fraught with dislocation and upheaval. Born to Italian parents in England, she was immersed in poverty and cultural marginalization, which compounded the feelings of isolation she experienced after immigrating to the United States as a teenager. Her Hollywood ascent, fueled by her ethereal beauty and presence, was quickly shadowed by personal struggles, including profound depression, substance abuse, and the emotional toll of losing her mother at a young age. Professional challenges exacerbated her vulnerabilities. She was frequently typecast, exploited for her appearance, and often denied roles that would allow her to fully demonstrate her talent, leading to feelings of inadequacy and frustration within a competitive and unforgiving industry. Scala's coping mechanisms were inconsistent, oscillating between dedication to her craft and destructive behaviors such as heavy drinking, which further alienated her from colleagues and support networks. Despite brief periods of professional acclaim, including her work in Navarone, she could not escape the combined pressures of fame, grief, and personal demons. Tragically, Scala died on April 30, 1972, at the age of 38 from accidental ethanol and barbiturate intoxication, leaving behind a modest estate likely under $500,000. Her legacy endures as a symbol of tragic beauty and unrealized potential, illustrating the precarious balance between talent, personal hardship, and the often cruel dynamics of Hollywood, with her life story serving as a cautionary yet poignant testament to the vulnerabilities behind a glamorous facade. James Robertson Justice was born on June 15, 1907, in London, England, and was 54 years old when he appeared as Jensen, the authoritative Allied intelligence officer in The Guns of Navarone, delivering the commanding voice and imposing presence that became the hallmark of his career. Justice's portrayal lent the film a crucial gravitas, his booming baritone guiding audiences through the tense narrative while simultaneously establishing the archetype of the stern but morally anchored authority figure. His upbringing in a middle-class English family provided little preparation for the dramatic trajectory of his life. He explored multiple careers, including geology, journalism, ice hockey, and peacekeeping in the Saar Basin, before turning to acting relatively late, which infused his performances with an unusual authenticity and depth. However, professional success did not shield him from personal tragedies. He endured the accidental death of his young son, which left deep psychological scars, and he struggled with recurrent health issues including strokes that ultimately ended his acting career. Justice also faced financial instability, culminating in bankruptcy despite his on-screen prominence, forcing him to confront the stark contrast between public acclaim and private hardship. He remained fiercely proud and maintained a public persona of authority and wit even as his health declined, retreating into quieter engagements and mentorship of younger actors. Justice died on July 2, 1975, at the age of 68, leaving behind minimal financial assets, yet his legacy as a quintessential British character actor endures. His impact lies not only in the memorable roles he played but also in the extraordinary breadth of his life experiences, reflecting a man whose professional triumphs were interwoven with profound personal loss and who managed to imprint a lasting impression on audiences through sheer charisma, formidable presence, and a relentless commitment to his craft. Richard Harris was born on October 1, 1930, in Limerick, Ireland, and appeared in The Guns of Navarone in 1961 at the age of 31 as Squadron Leader Barnsby, a dashing and determined Royal Australian Air Force pilot whose pronouncement that bombing the guns was impossible became a testament to the tension and stakes of the film. On screen, Harris's presence radiated a mix of charisma, intensity, and rebellious energy, leaving audiences captivated despite his limited screen time, foreshadowing the magnetism that would define his later legendary roles. Born into a working-class Irish family during the harsh economic climate of the 1930s, Harris endured poverty, social prejudice, and a turbulent home life that fueled both his drive and his inner volatility. Personal tragedy struck repeatedly. He battled alcoholism from an early age, navigated numerous fiery disputes with colleagues and directors, and endured the strain of his family's expectations versus his artistic ambitions. Professionally, Harris's journey was marked by daring choices and public controversy, including clashes with producers, risky theatrical performances, and personal scandals involving heavy drinking that often threatened to derail his career. He married 3 times and faced rocky relationships, including tumultuous family dynamics and public attention on his private life, all while pursuing a relentless drive for artistic excellence. Despite these challenges, he built a towering career in stage, film, and music, earning Academy Award nominations and becoming globally recognized for iconic roles, most notably Albus Dumbledore in the Harry Potter series. Harris passed away on October 25, 2002, at the age of 72 from Hodgkin's disease, leaving an estate valued at approximately $20 million, encompassing film royalties, music recordings, and property holdings. His legacy endures as a study in brilliance intertwined with self-destructive tendencies, a life lived with intensity, passion, and a fearless embrace of both fame and personal demons. Brian Forbes, born John Theobald Clark on July 22, 1926, in Stratford, England, was 35 years old when he appeared in The Guns of Navarone as Cone, a supporting yet pivotal figure whose calm intellect and measured approach added depth to the Allied ensemble. Forbes's on-screen restraint belied the complexity of his personal and professional life, reflecting a man whose early years in post-war England were shaped by economic hardship and a strict family environment that demanded conformity, yet secretly fostered a relentless curiosity for literature and theater. He endured moments of professional tension, particularly during his tenure as head of EMI Films, where navigating studio politics, creative clashes, and budget disputes tested both his patience and reputation. In addition to these pressures, Forbes managed personal challenges, including the demands of marriage to actress Nanette Newman and raising 2 children amid a high-profile career, balancing family expectations with the relentless demands of directing and writing. Creative achievements often intersected with controversies, such as clashes over adaptations of literary works and the polarizing reception of some films he helmed, yet he maintained an unwavering commitment to narrative quality and cinematic artistry. After decades of shaping British cinema through writing, directing, and acting, Forbes passed away on May 8, 2013, at age 86 following a prolonged illness. His estate, estimated at $5 million, reflected his lifelong dedication to the arts, encompassing literary rights, royalties from his films, and a modest collection of property. Forbes left behind a legacy that combines the elegance of British storytelling with resilience in the face of both industry politics and personal adversity, his influence continuing to inspire filmmakers and actors who navigate the delicate balance between commercial demands and artistic integrity. Alan Cuthbertson was born on April 7, 1920, in Perth, Western Australia, and was 41 years old when he appeared in The Guns of Navarone as Major Baker, the disciplined, by-the-book officer whose stern demeanor and commanding presence reinforced the wartime authenticity of the film. On screen, Cuthbertson's portrayal highlighted his trademark blend of military precision and subtle comedic timing, capturing audiences with his ability to convey authority alongside understated charm. Growing up in a country far from the cultural epicenters of Britain and Europe, he faced isolation, limited artistic resources, and the pressures of a society still reeling from the aftermath of World War I, experiences that shaped his meticulous work ethic and reserved personal demeanor. He later served as a flight lieutenant in the Royal Australian Air Force during World War II, an experience that not only informed his later portrayals of military men but also exposed him to trauma, discipline, and the existential realities of life and death, leaving a lasting impression on his psyche. His career was characterized by steady employment in television and film, including recurring roles in British comedies like Fawlty Towers, yet he never achieved superstar fame, and some contemporaries noted his rigid professionalism could cause tension on set. Married to Gertrude Wilmer, a refugee from Nazi-occupied Czechoslovakia, they adopted a son, yet Cuthbertson also endured private struggles balancing family responsibilities with a demanding career. He passed away on February 8, 1988, at age 67 from coronary artery disease. His estate was modest, likely under $500,000, but his legacy remains intact through memorable character performances, blending dignity and subtle humor, and serving as an example of steadfast dedication to craft over celebrity, a figure whose personal sacrifices and professional discipline continue to resonate with historians and fans of classic cinema. Michael Trubshaw was born on December 7, 1905, in Chichester, Sussex, England, and was 56 years old when he played Weaver in The Guns of Navarone. His character, though minor, embodied a poised and steadfast British officer whose understated presence lent credibility to the film's ensemble of soldiers. Behind the camera, Trubshaw's life was steeped in both privilege and discipline. The son of an English gentleman and a mother with artistic leanings, he was educated at Harrow before serving as an officer in the Highland Light Infantry, an experience that profoundly informed his screen persona. Childhood was marked by strict parental expectations and limited emotional expression, compelling him to channel his sensitivities into performance and camaraderie with peers. Trubshaw cultivated a social life among actors and aristocrats, becoming a confidant and best man to David Niven, yet his personal narrative was largely devoid of scandal, with hints of suppressed ambition and occasional frustrations with the typecasting of his later film work. Professionally, he maintained steady roles in films such as The Pink Panther and A Hard Day's Night, though he never sought the limelight and occasionally expressed regret over roles he declined that might have elevated his public profile. Trubshaw's later years were quiet, focused on friends, letters, and mentoring younger actors, avoiding the Hollywood spectacle that ensnared many of his contemporaries. He died on March 21, 1985, at 79, leaving behind a modest estate likely under $500,000, comprising small royalties, personal effects, and memorabilia. While not widely celebrated in popular culture, Trubshaw's legacy endures through his authentic portrayals of military men, his loyalty to friends like Niven, and the subtle charm he brought to British cinema during its mid-century heyday, a figure whose depth was often more felt than seen. Percy Herbert was born on July 31, 1920, in London, England, and was 41 years old when he portrayed Sergeant Grogan in The Guns of Navarone. His character exemplified toughness, loyalty, and understated heroism, but the gravitas Herbert brought stemmed from a harrowing real-life history as a World War II prisoner of war. Captured and held at the notorious Changi prison camp, he endured brutal treatment, forced labor on the Burma Railway, and survived events such as the Alexandra Hospital massacre, experiences that left him physically scarred and psychologically tempered. These traumatic episodes imbued his performances with haunting realism, influencing roles in films like The Bridge on the River Kwai, Tunes of Glory, and The Wild Geese, and forging a professional reputation for disciplined authenticity. Herbert's early years were shaped by a working-class London upbringing during the interwar period, punctuated by financial hardship and exposure to anti-Semitic and ethnic prejudice, experiences that taught him resilience and a guarded emotional openness. Off-screen, he navigated subtle pressures of fame, enduring moments of professional disappointment when typecast or passed over for higher-profile roles, yet he remained humble and committed to the craft, quietly mentoring younger actors. Herbert passed away on December 6, 1992, at age 72 from a heart attack, leaving an estate valued under $1 million, including royalties, modest property, and memorabilia. His enduring influence resides in the authenticity and intensity he brought to British cinema, an actor who transformed personal suffering into a subtle yet powerful screen presence, evoking respect and admiration among colleagues and audiences alike. George Michael, born Jurgis Michailaitis on April 4, 1929, in Lithuania, was 32 years old when he played Captain Sessler, a chilling Nazi officer, in The Guns of Navarone. Michael's portrayal of cold, calculating antagonists became his cinematic signature, blending a poised menace with disciplined precision, a trait that made him memorable in films like The Great Escape. Born to a Lithuanian family during turbulent political times, Michael's childhood was overshadowed by Soviet occupation, scarcity, and displacement, forcing him into early self-reliance and instilling a lifelong determination to pursue creative expression despite instability. After emigrating, he embraced acting, yet faced the challenges of typecasting as villainous European officers, struggling with a career that demanded consistency but offered limited personal satisfaction. Personal tragedies, including separation from family during immigration and the challenge of navigating cultural dislocation, shaped his reflective, intellectual approach to both acting and writing, leading him to pen essays and scripts that documented his observations of global travel, particularly in Pakistan, and philosophical reflections on human behavior. Michael remained intensely private, valuing intellectual pursuits over Hollywood socializing, and cultivated a reputation for professionalism and precision, occasionally declining offers that conflicted with his artistic integrity. He passed away on May 12, 2020, in London at the age of 91, leaving a net worth around $1 million, comprised of royalties, property, and literary works. His legacy is multidimensional, the enduring impact of his nuanced villain portrayals, a quietly cultivated literary output, and a life that blended cinematic craft with intellectual curiosity, offering a testament to the perseverance and depth of a character actor whose influence extends beyond the screen. Though time has passed, the laughter they gave us still echoes. The cast of Guns of Navarone brought joy to millions, and even though some of them are no longer with us, their performances live on. As we remember those we've lost, we also celebrate the legacy they left behind, one that continues to entertain and connect generations. Thank you for joining us in honoring these unforgettable stars. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tributes to the legends of television history.